Welcome to Chatting the Pictures. My name is Cara Finnegan, and I'm a writer, teacher, and historian of photography.
And I'm Michael Shaw. I'm a writer, a psychologist, and also publisher of Reading the Pictures.
This is not the first photo of its kind to gain widespread attention, but this latest image went viral as part of a persistent American focus on diversity, identity, social justice, and immigration.
This viral photo was taken by Branden Rodriguez. It shows Jennifer Rocha and her mother and father in Coachella. A recent graduate of University of California, San Diego, she decided to take her graduation pictures in the fields where she worked alongside her parents planting strawberries since she was in high school.
The setting of this image is both really beautiful in a kind of bucolic sense, and yet it also highlights the challenges of the work. The photographer has clearly shot this at the golden hour. So you have that beautiful light, you have this green, lush landscape, and yet you've got the contrast with this as a site of very hard work.
We saw something very similar go viral from a San Diego State University grad in 2019. And it makes me think, what does it mean that we're seeing almost the exact same viral photo again?
Yeah, there's something about these kinds of images. I think in a lot of ways, it's a classic immigrant story, right? Of wanting your children to do better than you did. And these daughters' choices to be photographed in a way that very lovingly highlights the hard work and labor and sacrifice of their parents, I think really resonates with a kind of broad audience that is invested in this idea that you can do better than your parents did in America, the American dream.
And I think we want to think about it that innocently and with that much celebration. I'm not sure if it's possible. And maybe what really charges the photograph and makes it so important as well as touching is the fact that there's perpetual controversy in the country about immigration and about dreamers and about who belongs.
You know, I think that point resonates in a way that links images like this one to a broader American visual history. So I see an image like this, and I also think about documentary photographs made in these exact same places, probably in these exact same fields during the Great Depression by US government photographers, figures like Dorothea Lange. This image of a daughter and her worker parents flips that previous visual history on its head, right? It shows kind of the result of the hard work. Your child can get out of the fields. On one hand, it's picturing progress, but on the other hand, that these kinds of images don't necessarily look all that different from the images made nearly 100 years ago points to what you were suggesting, right? Which is that we have a persistent space of labor. It is a space of hard labor. It has consumed generations of people, generations of families, immigrants, and migrants of many races and ethnicities. So viewed from the perspective of American visual history, it does get more complex. There's another way in which this image of Jennifer and her parents is explicitly political. And that is this choice to visually contrast the cap and gown, the graduation, the accomplishment of that with the context in which she has experienced her life. And I thought about another photo of another graduate that we talked about on this program just about a year ago. Deviante Joseph was photographed on the streets of St. Paul late at night in the middle of the racial justice protests happening after the murder of George Floyd. He posed amid the chaos of the protests and everything that was happening. And so I think both of these choices are a political choice, a space to claim your identity as an educated American who has achieved something very, very important and valuable, and to also picture yourself in a context that reminds people that people have different paths to that moment of achievement and accomplishment, and we need to recognize that.